All right, let's bring in someone with great perspective on this. Jamie Metzl is the founder and chair of OneShared.world. He is also the author of the forthcoming book, Super Convergence: How the Genetics, Biotech, and AI Revolutions Will Transform Our Lives, Work, and World. Jamie, so good to have you today. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I'm curious in this moment in time why the alliance between the U.S. and Japan growing stronger is especially significant strategically. What are you watching?
Well, it's hugely important, of course, because China is becoming a very aggressive and in many ways dangerous actor, certainly in Asia and even globally as a result of its collaboration and cooperation with China. So what Japan is seeing is China being very aggressive, repeatedly violating Japanese territorial waters, extreme aggression in the South China Sea, violating Philippine national territorial waters. And what Japan realizes and the United States realizes is that we are massively over reliant on China and strategic supply chains running through China. And so we know that there will be increasingly a greater Chinese economic and innovation and technology sphere and a greater American sphere. And Japan and the United States are recommitting our commitments to each other, that our fates are tied together in many ways. And that's certainly on the strategic level, and that's what's being discussed today, but also on the trade and economic level. And that's why, as you mentioned correctly, AI, superconductors, the kind of core technologies of the new economy are what these leaders are discussing. And not just those leaders, but also business leaders saying, how can we invest more in each other's economies? How can we invest more in each other's societies so we can be tied together and together build a safer future?
Yeah, Jamie, one thing that caught my attention when we heard from President Joe Biden a short time ago is he talked about the historic trilateral agreement with South Korea. And so we've seen Japan, even just in that region, sort of build these alliances and these ties. And I'm curious what China has to be thinking watching this visit, what China has to be thinking looking at these partnerships, which appear to be getting stronger.
So it's really significant, and I'm glad that you raised that. So traditionally, the United States has strong bilateral strategic relations certainly with Japan and Korea, South Korea, and with others. But Japan and South Korea traditionally, at least since the Second World War and the Korean War, have had a terrible relationship. And so the United States has played a leading role in trying to bring Japan and South Korea together because the strategic interests of the United States, Japan, and South Korea are aligned. And that strategic interest is to stand up to the bullying and aggression of China and North Korea. And that's really important. And so Japan, in many ways, is graduating from being a strategic dependent, where it depends on the United States, to being really a full-fledged partner. And because of that, we need to have a more latticed relationship between America's allies and partners in Japan and Korea's allies and partners in the region. But the thing that everybody is afraid of is China. And just as the Japanese Prime Minister is in Washington meeting with President Biden, Xi Jinping, the president of China, is meeting with Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, in Beijing. And so Russia and China are collaborating in lots of ways. And now it seems clear that China is giving not insignificant material support to the Russian war effort, invasion of Ukraine. And so we're seeing two different visions of the future. And the United States, Japan, Korea, Philippines are standing together in support of a rules-based international order. And if we're successful, that will be an order that helps many people across the world flourish.
Fascinating. And then just lastly, in terms of some of the technological partnerships and the economic cooperation, is it too late in certain areas? Because you think about sort of Taiwan and sort of their certainly their heads up. I mean, is it too late, or do you feel like it's still an even playing field?
It's certainly not too late. It's never too late because we are living in a world of rapid technological transformation. You referenced my new book, Super Convergence, and that's what the book is all about, how change is accelerating, and it's not just one technology, AI, genetics, biotechnology. It's all of these technologies coming together. And leadership of the world will depend on taking and leadership in the commanding heights of the economy. But what leaders in certainly in the United States and Japan and elsewhere are realizing is that we have great vulnerabilities of over reliances on China, and those need to be addressed, and that China is weaponizing in many ways its access to the global economy and using our technologies against us, certainly in their military. And that's why this effort of certainly the leaders of the United States and Japan and others is about how do we get our world on a better track where democracies and other countries that are opposing this kind of bullying, certainly of China and Russia, can work together. And for the countries that are trying to use these technologies against us, how can we best stand up to that?
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of that concept of friendshoring, of sort of perhaps deepening relationships with countries that are more friendly, at least in terms of your values. Jamie Metzl, we could talk about this for much longer, but we'll have to leave it here. Thank you so much for the insights and the perspective today.
Thank you.